Welcome to another Created by Sports video with news of Man United interested in striker Matheus Cunha from Atletico Madrid. According to reports, including Fabrizio Romano, it seems that United are at least talking to his agent, but no bid has been made yet. Welcome, George. What do you reckon about all this news?
Hi, Kadeem. I'm hearing rumblings at the moment about it. I'm hearing that we're ready to, or United are ready to bid around 50 million euros. So what's that, around 42 million pounds? Is that
About that, yeah.
about 43? But I'm also hearing that that's not going to be enough from Atletico's side. However, the interesting part of this story is the Ronaldo side of things, which would be a potential of a swap deal. So less money, swap deal with Ronaldo, both forwards. Atletico getting, let's say, a good deal. I don't know whether that's a good deal for them. Cunha's only 23 years old. However, only scored 6 league goals last season, and produces quite well for his country as well. I'm feeling like he's just, from what I'm hearing though, it seems like he's just another, say, like Richarlison, just another, I don't rate Jesus very highly, but Jesus at Arsenal seems to be different to Jesus at Man City. Brazilian strikers are very hit or miss, I think, and especially in the Premier League. I genuinely don't rate Richarlison very highly. We'll see how he does at Spurs, but like last season at Everton, I don't think he did very well, and it worries me because Cunha did only score 6 goals last season.
Yeah. If you look at his 6 goals across the season, how many minutes he actually played, it's a lot of, 10 minutes off the bench, 19 minutes, 13 minutes. He doesn't play 90 minutes once last season. The most he played was 89 minutes against Real Madrid at the back end of the season, and he got an assist in that game. But it's a lot of, appearances off the bench in the second half. And obviously it's not a good look when you only have, 6 goals. But I think it's important to kind of add that caveat as well. It's 6 goals, 6 assists in 29 appearances, but only from just over 1,000 minutes. He just to score for Brazil, but for the under-23 side, he had 15 goals in 16 games. So it's an odd one. Seven senior appearances, no goals, but for the youth team, quite prolific. I think he's a player who, if you kind of, if you watch him, he fits the mold of more playing in a free with Anthony Martial,
Yeah.
Sancho, and Marcus Rashford, as opposed to kind of like that that focal point where everything needs to filter through him. He can drop deep, he can play out the left, play out on the wide, and looks like he's part of a more fluid front three, which is something that, as we've discussed with Ronaldo, everything needs to filter through him. So it'll be very interesting to see if this move pans out, but it also feels like it's just the latest name to be linked to Man United.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it seems like what's a nice takeaway from this is that United are actually looking at a younger striker. Yesterday we reported about Jamie Vardy, about Man United potentially looking to Jamie Vardy if Ronaldo leaves, and that's another 35-year-old. And you mentioned about the fact that over the last 3 seasons, United have gone for strikers Ighalo, Cavani, Ronaldo, and where are the young strikers? Where's the young hungry strikers? Liverpool just signed in Nunes. I know he just got sent off last night, but and Man City signing Erling Haaland. Tottenham have Kane. Arsenal just signed Jesus. It's like, well, unless Anthony Martial starts producing more, like, Man United just. It's another one of those things. We're looking for surface level players, whereas this seems like the first sight of. I mean, there was talk to Sesko as well, which I probably would have preferred. He seems like a highly talented youngster, but it seems like the first sight of a young player that we seem to be looking at as a forward, which I think is important because you need to look for the future, not just for now.
Yeah, 100%. One of the worrying things would be that according to Transfer Market, he's rated at he's valued at about 27 million. And, there's talk that it's going to be potentially double that or around double that. And we're hearing reports early on Tuesday morning that Man United or a manager has basically said that if Man United come in, then the team is just going to add, 10 million because they know they're desperate. And this is what happens when you leave transfers until the end of the window. If this was done in June or July, or, in the ideal world, May, you probably get it for about 27 million, maybe even 20 because it's a quick sell. Atletico have time to turn things around. It's now 16th of August. May not come calling for a striker, even if it's not a first team option. Atletico can say, well, give us 50 million because we have to now find a replacement. And knowing Atletico, they'll find some up and coming kid from elsewhere and pay 10 million. And all of a sudden, they made a profit of 40 million. And United are hoping that this 50 million striker, who should be 25 million, had to hit the ground running. So, yeah, this is just another sign of United leaving things way too late and, the repercussions of that.
Yeah, absolutely. I am, however, hearing that, according to the Mail, which I don't know how reliable they are, but Cunha would be open to a move. But he did only join Atletico last season. And I'm hearing that he had quite a few injuries that impacted his first season at Atletico. Do you know much about his injury record at all?
Yeah, he missed 8 games last season for Atletico. One game through a muscle injury, 7 games through a knee injury. Prior to that, it's like 2 or 3 games every year. It's nothing which looks like, oh my days, this is the worst thing in the entire world. Yeah. Obviously, 8 games last season isn't ideal, and it also could play into the fact that he only played 10 minutes here and there. On the surface level, it looks like it's just typical football injuries when you play a full season.
Sure. I mean, Haaland has injuries. He's injury ridden, but he's still able to produce.
Yeah. And I think, there'll be Man United fans going, well, he missed 8 games last year. Don't sign him because Martial's going to miss 8 games, all that kind of stuff. It's just a part and parcel of football. If you have a player that plays, week in, week out, they're going to pick up injuries. Harry Kane picks up injuries. Ronaldo misses the odd game due to injury. I think in the Man United team, Bruno's probably the only person who doesn't miss games through injury. So I wouldn't get too worried about his injury history because, again, on the surface level, it's, 8 games in the season and 7 within a massive chunk. So,
yeah, for sure. But just talking quickly about that transfer fee, Atletico, for a player that's 23 years old and only scored, I know in the you're saying in the minutes that he had, but only scored 6 league goals. And did you say 6 assists as well?
Yeah.
And 6 assists as well. They're looking for more than 50 million euros. It seems like a real big chunk. And it seems like Man United it's that typical thing. The price almost gets put up because it's Man United and everybody likes to take the piss because it's Man United. But I'm also hearing that I believe he came from Hertha Berlin and they have a 10% sell-on clause, which will apparently impact the eventual fee. So I'm guessing that's one of the reasons why the fee's higher, because they have to put into, they have to add in that 10% sell-on clause that Hertha Berlin will be receiving as well. So they don't want to kind of lose out on money that will go straight to the other team. But obviously United need that firepower up front. So it's whether they're willing to pay more than 50 million euros, more than 43 million pounds for a player that only scored 6 goals and got six assists last season in an injury-ridden season,
Yeah, in an ideal world, United would, sign the players that are scoring 15, 20 league goals. But then what comes with that is the 80, 90 million, transfer fee. So you would have to believe that United are looking at this going, if he can stay fit with us, given the talent we have around him, again, your Sanchos, Brunos, your Eriksen, that's going to at least double. And it's a price you pay for potential. Brentford are looking at 50 million for Ivan Toney. Ivan Toney obviously scored more goals last year, but there'd be a lot of Man United fans saying, I'm not paying 50 million pounds for Ivan Toney. What would be interesting is that at the start of the summer, Man United fans were told via a meeting in a pub that the money is there for United to spend. If the manager wants a player, United will spend that money. So far, that hasn't really happened. So the last thing Man United fans want to hear is United pull out of this potential deal because they was too scared of the price. Well, no, it's again, there's 2 weeks left of the transfer window. Now, not the time to be haggling over, over money. It's not ideal. You're going to get priced out of a lot of moves, or in terms of every single player you go for, the price is going to get doubled immediately. But now's the time where you kind of have to bite the bullet and pay.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it is. It's about just coughing up the money to get somebody in. Unfortunately, it's at the end of the window now, so it's like you do just pay the money, and you just got to do it now. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no messing around now. Look what happened with Sancho 2 seasons ago. He's a young, hungry winger, messed around. He had another year at Dortmund, ended up with all of that stuff that happened at the Euros. And that impacted his first season at United in the end. If we'd got him the season before, things might have been different, Same with Bruno Fernandes. It took ages to get that deal over the line. Same with Harry Maguire. I mean, Maguire, I don't think it's turned out to be great, but all of these deals take the Man United board so long and to get over the line. And the same thing seems to be happening this summer. I know that United got a few deals over the line, but I mean, look at De Jong. Why has that not been completed? Surely they've got enough money behind them and there's enough power in the history of the club to be able to get players like De Jong to come. Europa League or not, players like that should be coming,
Yeah, definitely. And to kind of take it back to this latest link, hopefully United sign him again. It's probably going to be double for what he's actually worth. But you can get embedded in this season. It's a World Cup year. He's probably not going to go. So if anything, he'll be fresh throughout the winter.
Absolutely.
Get embedded in Europa League games. And like you said earlier, it's a young player. It's not someone on the back end of his career. This is someone who has room to prove, and hopefully he can improve at Man United and start hitting 15, 20, 25 goals a season.
Yeah, definitely. All right, then. Well, we'll leave it there. Guys, don't forget to leave a comment below to tell us what you think of Matheus Cunha and whether you think this is the right move for Manchester United and the board to be making, considering, we've scored no goals from our actual players. There's 1 goal scored for Man United in the first 2 games, and that was an own goal against Brighton, and then a 4-0 hammering to Brentford, which wasn't great. But leave a comment below to let us know what you think of Matheus Cunha and the likeliness of this deal going through. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to see our lovely faces again. And thank you very much, Kadeem, for coming on. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one, guys.